think of the job that the Pacers have done as of late turning this thing around?
Oh, I think they're doing a fantastic job. Earlier today, I was in a meeting with Larry Bird and Donnie Walsh and Kevin Pritchard, and I said to them, I mean, the best record, tied for the best record coming out of All-Star is just fantastic. And I was joking with them, reminding them that after the Paul George injury, how many the experts, the so-called experts, wrote off the Pacers. So it's wonderful to see.
What's your general purpose of this visit?
The general purpose is to check in with the team. There was a luncheon today at the Rotary Club here in Indianapolis they asked me to speak to. I got a chance to engage with the larger staff, spend some time with them. I have a few other meetings with Herb Simon and part of his management group. I just try to get around the league and meet with as many teams as I can. And of course, I'm here for the game tonight as well.
What was your message to the Rotary Club today? Is there anything specific?
Yeah, the message to the Rotary Club was what a fabulous community this is. And I think it's part of the Rotary Club message is about service. And I said so much of what the NBA is about as well. And we see it here with this team, how integral they are with the community. The message I'm always saying to teams around the league is that it's a zero-sum game in terms of wins and losses. I wish I could, at the league office, manufacture more wins, but I know that roughly half our teams are always going to have records below 500. Only one team is going to be the champion. So ultimately what it's about is the relationships that are built in these communities, and that's when your fans stay with you during good times and bad times. And I think we're seeing here just a very well-run franchise.
You think the future is really bright for this franchise?
Oh, I think the future is spectacular. I mean, Herb Simon and his family have a locked long-term commitment to this community. Herb Simon is actually, I'm just pointing out to him, the longest tenured owner in the NBA now. He and his brother bought the team in 1983, and so there's this incredible history there. Herb Simon, since my early days in the league, he served as the chairman of the board at one point. He's still a very active committee member. Is still very active in league affairs, a mentor to me. And so, and it's great to see the franchise run so well, and compliments to Rick Fusen as well in terms of how well this arena is run, active, probably 300 dates a year. And we're seeing this movement. They really began in here where arenas become part and parcel of the downtown community, and we're seeing it now. In Sacramento, I was out there recently building a new arena there. We're going through planning stages in Milwaukee of building a new downtown arena. But what you see is these are the modern day town halls and community centers, and it's great to see them as vibrant as this one.
You've mentioned so many ideas for change and improving the league, but how do you balance the innovation with not doing too much too soon?
Great question. And I balance it by sort of putting the brakes on myself now and then, and listening to great basketball minds like Donnie Walsh and Larry Bird and Kevin Pritchard here to make sure that nothing we do negatively in any way impacts the game. I mean, we have this expression at the league office, the game above all. And I think, some of you know my earlier iteration of my career at the league, I ran something called NBA Entertainment, and I think there were points, as I understand it, in a more holistic way now, that maybe the entertainment side of the league was pushed a little bit over the basketball side at times. And you come to realize over the years that everything stems from the game on the floor, and that all the great media opportunities, the great digital opportunities, the great marketing opportunities that stem from it are all based on having best-in-class game, a best-in-class game, night in and night out. And that goes to some of the issues we've been talking a lot about lately, which is the health and welfare of the players, looking at back-to-backs, 4 games out of 5 nights to ensure they're getting appropriate rest. And that in terms of my second year, is something I'm very focused on.
When you mentioned that, Adam, and you also mentioned recently that you could use analytics to build a better schedule.
Right.
Would any of that mean possibly reducing the 82-game season?
I don't know. I would just say I'm not looking to reduce the length of the season. I mean, it's no secret. There's an economic issue for the league and the players if we were to cut the number of games in the season. And I don't think that's the issue. I mean, frankly, as I travel, people only want more NBA, not less NBA. I mean, but it may be that, first of all, through the analytics you're talking about and doing, a better job with our arenas, we can actually clear out more dates. I mean, part of it is a balance. I mean, as I was saying, on one hand, it's great to see, an arena like this be the center of the community, and therefore it gets used well over 300 dates a year. On the other hand, we're competing against all those other dates. And so we got to make sure that the NBA has the appropriate priority so that when we do the schedule, we can cut down on the number of back-to-backs and the 4 games out of 5 nights. I think also the relative value of an NBA game has grown over time compared to some of the other events in these buildings. I mean, whether it's based on the media value locally, our new national television deals that we're going to be entering into in 16-17, the international appeal of these games. I mean, there's really no such thing as a local game anymore in this league. Every one of these games is being shown to millions and millions of people outside the United States. These games are available on League Pass for fans anywhere. So, you know, we're going to look at everything. So, but to me, in the first instance, we got to look at, you know, how we can do a better job scheduling within the existing number of dates. But then beyond that, should we be starting a little bit earlier? Can we go a little bit later? Those are also the kinds of things we can look at to try to stretch the season out a little bit.
Final Four here in Indy, Kentucky's the favorite, but maybe that would be different if
you know, I
Jabari
went
Parker,
to Duke.
You did? Okay. Maybe it would be
Yeah.
different if Jabari was still at Duke or
Right.
Andrew Wiggins was still at Kansas. What are the benefits of a 2-and-done rule?
You know my position there. I'd much rather see these young men stay in school longer, and if they don't feel college is appropriate for them, I'd still rather they play outside the NBA before coming in at age 20 rather than at 19 where we are now. I think it would be better for the college game. I think it'd be better for the pro game. I just think here, you know, those draft picks are so incredibly valuable. I think it would be better if for our teams they got to see these young men play against, you know, in more competitive environments other than high school or you know, 1 year of college before they come into the league. And I also think these players would be more mature when they come into the league. Look, I'm looking forward to the NCAA tournament. Great college basketball is great for the NBA. It's where stars are born. Many great players emerge. Many of the players that we know well today ultimately got their start as national players playing through the NCAA tournament. So I also see the other side of the issue. I mean, I get it, you know, and I understand nobody told Bill Gates he couldn't drop out of college and start Microsoft. It's a little different in this league. It's a zero-sum game. We have a fixed number of jobs and a fixed amount of money. You know, right now 51% of BRI that gets paid to the players, and you know, I think there's risk, I understand, to players that don't come right into the league out of college, out of first year or out of high school, but through insurance and other programs we can help deal with that. So I think it would be, you know, better for everyone, including these young men right now, if we had a minimum age of 20 instead of 19.
What's your goal for the NBA D-League? Do you see it in mirroring baseball in any way?
Well, it's interesting with the D-League. My ultimate goal would be to have a 30-team league in the D-League. I see it truly as developmental for NBA players. It was not designed to compete against college. I would still, my first option for these young men would go become Division I players. But at the same time, you know, we're mindful that we're not operating in a vacuum there, whether it's the lawsuits that are currently pending against the NCAA, their movement to turn college players into employees. Those are all things we're going to continue to monitor. But the level of NCAA basketball, it's not just the quality on the court, but these great programs like Duke, like Kentucky, like Indiana, I mean, they're turning young men, you know, into men. And there's great coaching, there's great support. It's not perfect, nothing is. But and I will say at the same time, one of the things that the league is focused on, and I mentioned this at All-Star, is doing a better job with youth basketball. Because I recognize that, in fairness to the colleges, when they get these young men at 18 years old, they're not fully developed, but they've gone a long way towards being developed as players and as young men. And I think one of the things we're looking to do through programs like Junior NBA, through Junior WNBA, is get to young boys and girls earlier on, you know, working in conjunction with the NCAA to ensure that young basketball players in the United States are learning the fundamentals of the game, that there's not too much of an emphasis on playing games at an early age. I mean, and this isn't a new issue. We're hearing increasingly, Kobe's talked about it, other of our owners talked about it. You're seeing the European players come out more skilled at a young age, and they're doing a better job in many of the programs in Europe, teaching the fundamentals of the game and the values of the game at an earlier age. So we realize we're operating in a global marketplace for players, and I think now, wearing my USA hat and sort of our affiliation with USA Basketball, we want to ensure that we continue to produce the best basketball players as well.
What's your I guess we'll go in a different direction. What would your thoughts be from a national scale, NBA scale, of Indy hosting an All-Star game once again?
We'd love to come back here for All-Star. I mean, look, you guys host some of the biggest events, in the country. You had another Final Four coming here this year. Super Bowls have been here, and we'd love to have another All-Star game here.